Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be working with the Working Drawing Smartview webinar. Just like every other webinar we do here at CADSoft, this one will be recorded, and everyone is going to be muted. So if you do have any questions at any point during the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and type those into the questions area. And at the conclusion of the class, I will go through and answer any questions that have come up. Again, today's class is Working Drawings and Smartviews. And I'm just going to go over a quick lesson overview of what we're going to cover, and then we're going to jump right in. So today we're going to step through the insertion of Smartviews in Envisioneer. Working drawings are created in a special drafting environment called your Worksheet view. Here you can set up and annotate your various 2D and 3D views of your model to create a complete set of construction drawings. The topics we're going to cover today are going to be inserting your worksheet views, adding detail to your inserted views, updating your views with your model changes. The first thing we're going to look at is your worksheet view. So Envisioneer has two environments, the model view environment where you construct your model and the worksheet view environment where you create your construction documents. The two environments are laid out in a similar fashion, but each has a different content and its own specific set of tools. When you enter your worksheet view, you are no longer building your model. You are now working with a 2D view of your model, such as your floor plan, your elevations, sections, and details, to create your construction documents. So it is important to remember to always build your model first and make sure it is complete before you start your construction documents. Once you have completed your model in your model view, you can go into your worksheet view by selecting one of the view tabs next to the model view tab. By default, every new project contains 4 predefined worksheet view windows. You have your floor plan, your elevations, your details, and your site plan. You can edit the properties of these windows and create new windows as needed for any additional sheets that you want to include. Each worksheet can have a different view of your model on it, and you can insert multiple views on one sheet if you want as well. You can also add many different types of objects and information to your drawing, such as text, dimensions, lines, and shapes. You can also import CAD files, images, and PDFs onto your worksheets. So we're going to go down into our bottom tool tray area, and where we have our model tab, we're going to move over one tab and we're going to select the floor plan tab. And this will open up the working drawing sheets that we're talking about, and we're now working in our working drawing sheets. In this working drawing sheet, you can see that it's very similar to our model sheet where we are working in a tab format, but these tabs are going to be a little bit different. So when you're working with the Insert tab, this is where you're going to be able to add in your Smart Views. You can add in blocks. You can also add in a PDF, a DWG, or an image file. The Draw tab is going to allow you to add in specific elements. So you can actually draw in lines, polylines, arcs, circles. Again, a lot of detail that you can draw in, and we can also add in hatching and detailed information. The Modify tab will allow you to modify or adjust certain things that you've inserted into your working drawing sheets. So you can duplicate, array, offset, trim, fillet, chamfer, break, extend. You can also create a polyline, and you can also explode anything that you've created as well. So if you've inserted a smart view or you've inserted a polyline that you want to explode, you can insert those and explode them to make individual lines. The Tools tab will allow you to go through and add in text, dimensions. You can also add in a variety of different dimension settings to adjust how you want those dimensions to be inserted. And the last tab is the Help tab, and again, this is where you're going to go when you get stuck with the program and you need a little bit of help. You can get in touch with our support department, or you can go through the program help or glossary terms to help and try and find the solution you're looking for. I'm just going to go back to the Insert tab. And then once you have set up a sheet, you are ready to insert a view of your model onto it. In your worksheet view, these are called your Smartviews. And you can insert your floor plans, elevations, sections, and even your 3D views using the Define Smart View tool. A sheet can contain a single view or multiple views, and each view can be inserted at a different scale. The view you insert is generated directly from your 3D model created in your model view. So therefore, it is important to make sure that your model is complete and final before creating your construction documents. In saying that, we're going to now talk about adding in dimensions to your floor plans. So if you have inserted things like text and dimensions in your model view, these objects will be included in the view that you insert in your worksheet view. So before inserting a floor plan on a worksheet, you may want to take advantage of the automatic dimensioning tools offered in your model view. And this is going to be under your auto exterior dimensions and auto interior dimensions. These tools will automatically find any openings and corners in your model and insert the appropriate dimension. These tools are not available in your worksheet view. So to take advantage of this, we're going to go back to our model. And as you can see, we do not have any text or dimensions added in on this actual view of our model. So to do that, we're going to go up to Tools. Actually, we're going to go to Settings first, and then we're going to go to Document Settings. And then we're going to have our Dimension Auto Exterior and Dimension Auto Interior. And these are settings that control how the dimensions are going to be displayed. So in here, you have full control of what you're dimensioning and how you want it to be displayed on your screen. So you can control, again, what's going to be included in your dimension strings, your overall, your projections, your openings. If you want your interior walls dimensioned on your exterior, you can control that. You can also control the spacing at which these dimensions will be displayed. You can control how the extension lines are going to be shown on your model. You can control what you're dimensioning to. Is it your end conditions? Is it your core? Sorry, your end conditions. Is it going to be your surface, your core center, your core interior, or your surface? And how do you want your openings to be dimensioned? Do you want it to be to the center, or do you want it to be to the actual opening? And then do you actually want the height of your dimension, do you want the height of your opening to be included in that dimension as well? And how do you want that to be separated? Is it going to be separated by a slash, a dash, an X, or is it going to be set up as a multi-line text? Again, a lot of control that you can have when you're inserting your dimensions. And the same for your dimension for your auto interiors. So by default, it's set to center. You can set this up to be your trailing or leading edges. And then we have this ignore wall dimensions option as well. So in here, if you have this check mark, it will ignore this dimension between the actual wall from surface to surface. So if this is unchecked, you will see that dimension, which will be your 4.5 or 6.5 inch dimension string. Or with it selected, it's going to say, I don't need to dimension that. They know the size of that. So it's just going to remove that dimension, which helps declutter your views when you're inserting them. Once you have all your dimension settings set up, you can just say OK. And then you're going to go to Tools, Dimensions, and you're simply going to select your auto exterior dimensions. And this will automatically go through and insert all of your interior dimension strings. And if we go to our dimension style, we can specify the type of dimension we want to be using. We're going to say standard and say OK. And then I'm just going to redo that again. Tools, dimensions, auto exterior. And it should update to now show my text. So now we can see all of my text and my dimensions for this particular model. If I want to add in text, I would go into Tools, Text, and Text. And now I can go through and specify the type of text that I want to add in here. And we're just going to call this default and we'll say OK. And you can use the predefined labels on the right. And if you're going to be inserting multiple strings of text, just make sure you have that multiple text insert option selected. And you can go through and add in all of your different text options. So wherever you want text to go, you can add that in and place in your text. Once you've inserted all of your text, you can just simply uncheck that and say, I want this to be the garage, and say OK. And now you're finished adding in your text. Once you've added in all your text and your dimensions, you can go back to your model view, or sorry, your worksheet view, and on your floor plan. And now we're going to go through and start inserting our working drawing sheets. And to do that, we're going to go back, which we've already done, to your floor plan sheets. And then we're going to go to Insert, Define Smart View. And under the Define Smart View, you're going to get your Insert View dialog box. In this view, you can control what you're going to insert and what you're going to name it. So by default, it's going to come up with a name, and we're calling this 2D Plan View 1. You can change the name of this and say, I want this to just be ground floor. We can control what we're going to be inserting as well. So right now we're set up on the 2D tab, so we know we're going to be inserting a 2D plan view of our model. We could also select a 3D camera view and insert a 3D view of our model if we wanted to. And this will be like a rendered view of the model itself. So this will be good for like a cover sheet. The 3D quick views will be the same thing as the 3D camera view, which is a specified view of the model that you're specifying. We also have an elevation tab, which will allow you to insert your specific elevations. And then the section tab, if you've inserted any section lines, this is where you'll be able to insert those sections. And we're just going to simply select the 2D to bring us back into our 2D view. Again, you can control the location you want to be inserting. So we want to be inserting our ground floor location. We're going to make sure that we're on that ground floor location. You can control your scale. And again, there's a bunch of different options with the drop-down list. And we're going to leave this at 1/4 inch. We can also specify this to be inserted as an image or a drawing. So if you're inserting this as an image, it's just going to be a pixelated raster image. Usually this is used for your 3D views. If you're going to be inserting a floor plan, it is recommended to use the drawing option because this will actually insert the individual lines that represent your smart view. Down in the bottom, we have a bunch of different controls as well. So the first option here is our view filter. And this is important because this controls what you're going to be inserting. So depending on what you want this floor plan to represent, you can turn elements on and off. So if you're inserting just a floor plan for just a layout purpose, you can turn off things like your electrical outlets, your electrical lighting, your electrical wiring. You can turn off the roof, so that way you're just seeing the walls and how things are going to be added in. If you want to insert your electrical plan, this is where you're going to go and you can turn off your interior furniture. You don't want to see the furniture in your electrical plan. You just want to see where the outlets are, where your switches are, and your lights and your wiring diagram. So again, this is where you're going to be able to control all of that. You're also going to be able to control what you're looking at based on location. So by default, it will always insert all of the locations when you're creating your smart views. So to avoid clutter, we allow you to actually specify which locations you want to be using. So by default, this is going to be set to all locations. You can uncheck that, and then you would select your foundation and say display none. I don't want to see the foundation on my ground floor plan. I also do not want to see my second floor on my ground floor plan, and I say none. Now I can see everything that's going to be inserted on that plan view, and my roofs are turned off. If I want to view those, I can just turn that on so that I can see the actual roof in my floor plan. I can then say I also want to turn off the terrain because it's not a site plan. I don't need to see the terrain. I don't want that big green box to show up. So I'm going to make sure that that is turned off as well. And then we have our viewing aids. And in here you can specify if you want to show your section markers in your plan view or not. So you can again turn things on and off using the different tabs. The notation tab is where you're going to find your dimensions in your text. These will be turned on, so I'm going to leave those as enabled. And I'm going to say OK. So now we can see that it's turned off everything. I can see my section markers. I I can see my dimensions in my roof. I have it set up that I'm on the ground floor, 1/4 inch scale. It's a drawing. And I can also change the display mode now. So right now we're looking at a plan view. I can control this, so I can show it in a pattern mode. I can show it in a rendered mode. Again, depending on what you're inserting, you can control how that's going to be displayed. This box represents a clipping plane. So if I do not have my model view completely centered in that, what I'm going to get in this view is what's going to be inserted. So right now, if I select the insert, it's only going to show me this portion of the model. So it's important to make sure that you use the zoom extents tool, and then I always give this zoom out button a couple of clicks just to make sure everything is in this view. Again, what you see in this view is what you are going to get. So make sure your entire model view is visible inside this view. And then click Insert. And now attached to your cursor is that plan. And you can just simply left click to place that in your model view. And now you can see how that plan view is going to be visible on your working drawing sheets. Next, we're going to be talking about adding detail to your inserted views. So if you want to edit an inserted view, you can explode it and modify each entity individually. You can also add various types of information to your drawing, such as lines, shapes, hatching, detailing, text, and dimensions. In a lot of cases, I don't recommend exploding your smart views unless it's absolutely necessary. The reason for that is because you can actually go in and actually just adjust the definition of your smart view as well. So if you select your smart view, you can go up, and on the right-hand side, you're going to have your definition, and you can specify that you want this definition to be edited. So I'm just going to move this and select my edit definition. And now what this allows me to do is I'm actually inside the definition. You can see this dotted line that appears around my inserted block. And you notice that the title block kind of disappeared. It didn't really disappear, it's just you're inside of another view right now, so it's kind of grayed out. So if you zoom in, you can kind of see the title block in the background. But again, what we've done is we've now gone into the definition of that block, and we're now able to specify and adjust the individual lines that make up that block. So again, if you ever needed to explode your smart view, you could, but I recommend editing the definition. And once you're in a definition, so again, select the smart view, edit definition, make your changes, and then to get out of your definition, you hit the escape key on your keyboard, and that will bring you out. If you ever do want to do any kind of modifying, you can select the Modify tab or the Modify pull-down menu. And in here, you can use any of these tools in here to make any kind of adjustments to your smart views. So you can move things around like we were talking about. You can duplicate. Again, these are going to be modifying tools that allow you to make adjustments. If you want to add to your smart view, you can select the Draw pull-down menu. And again, in here, you'll be able to draw in your lines, your polylines, adding in hatch or detail information. Just a note here as well. Remember that the extra lines and hatch that you add here are not linked back to your model. So any modifications that you make here will not be reflected in your model view or any subsequent views that you insert. If you want to make changes other than line work changes, it is best to make them in your model view first. Changes you make in your worksheet view will be mainly line work changes in that worksheet view. Next, I want to talk about updating your views with model changes. So your model should always be as complete and final as possible before creating your working drawings. However, last-minute changes are sometimes inevitable. if you make any changes to your model in your model view after you've created your working drawings, you can use the Update Smart View tool to instantly apply the changes to an inserted view in your worksheet. So, for example, if you add a window to your model and then update a Smart View, the window will then appear in your Smart View. A note here that the Update Smart View tool does not work on Smart Views that have been exploded. And that is one of the reasons why I don't recommend exploding a Smart View unless it's absolutely necessary. And then following up with that, if you have gone in and edited the definition of a Smart View and then you update it, the changes you've made in that definition will be lost because it's going to be updating the view from whatever is being visible in your model. So again, wherever possible, if the changes you need to make can be done in your model by moving a wall or what have you, do it in your model view and then update your view. And to show that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to model, and let's say the client comes back and they now want 2 windows in the garage instead of 1. And they want to be a little bit offset. So I'm going to make this 2 feet from this corner. And then I'm just going to duplicate this window over to here, and I'm going to make this one 2 feet from this corner. So now we have 2 windows in our garage, and we can see that our dimensions aren't correct. So to fix that, all you have to do is go back to Tools, Dimensions, Auto Exterior, and you'll get the message that running this command will delete any existing exterior dimensions. Do you wish to continue? Yes, I want to delete what I have already inserted and replace it with the new dimensions. And now we can see that it's now adding in our window dimensions for us. If we go back to our floor plan, we can see that it's still showing that 1 window. Well, all I have to do is select this option, or select the Smart View that I have inserted, and then on the right-hand side in our Object Properties panel, we can see that we have an update or a redefine. So if I say update, it's going to take that and it's going to take whatever changes I've made in my model view and now apply them into my worksheet view. We also have an Update Smart View Global. So if I had inserted any kind of an elevation of this model, my front elevation would need to be changed as well to show the 2 windows that have been adjusted in my model. So by doing the Update Smart View Global, it will find all of the Smart Views that have been inserted that have this change, and it will update them to reflect the new changes. So you don't have to worry about going through each individual sheet. You can just select this Update Smart View Global, and throughout your entire project, no matter what sheet you're on, it will update those Smart Views for you. We also have a redefine option. So for example, if I go into here, and let's say I no longer want to see the roof in my Smart View. So I don't need to go back to my model and turn off the roof in the view filter there. I can just simply select the redefine option, which will bring up the redefine Smart View dialog, and this will allow me to adjust the view that I've inserted. So here I can say, well, now I just don't want to see the roof anymore. So I'm just going to say, close the eye on the roof and say, okay. And then I say update. And now it's updating just that Smart View to remove the roof. So this does not link back to the model. This is just a part of the Smart View that I've adjusted. If I go back to model, the roof would still be on if I had it turned on in the view filter here. And then if I go back into my sheet view, we can see that it doesn't make that change here. And let's say I want to also remove the deck. So I can go into my redefine and say I don't want to see the deck. So it removes the deck, and again, updates. So it removes the deck. But again, in model, it doesn't affect the model. The deck is still there. So again, redefining your Smart Views will only update the Smart Views in your working drawing sheets. It doesn't have any effect on your actual model. So I'm just going to go over a quick overview of what we've covered today. So we've talked about adding in your dimensions using your auto interior and auto exterior dimensions. We've talked about how to set up your dimensions so that they represent what you want to be displaying. We talked about going to your working drawing sheets and specifying the sheet that you want to be working on, and then how to insert your Smartviews using your Insert Smartview options. We talked about the controls using your Draw, Modify, and Tool tabs, so you can add in lines, text, dimensions, and then modify any of those elements using the Modify commands. And we've also talked about updating and using the Redefine tool options. We also talked about making sure that your model is as complete as possible before creating your working drawings. So if you make any last-minute changes to your model, you can use the Update the Smartview Global tool to update your inserted Smartviews. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the questions section. So if you do have any questions pertaining to today's class, let me know, and I'll go through and answer any of those questions for you. One question we have here is, if I type notes in Word format, then save as a PDF document, then in Working Sheet, I can click on PDF tab to go out and find the PDF document and insert it on your worksheet view. I believe I can edit the PDF inserted notes. I wouldn't do it that way. I would go through, and if I wanted to create a document with notes, I would just go into, let's go Word. And I'm just going to go in and create a Word document, and with my cap locks turned on, I'm just going to go in and add in, this is a test for adding text. And I'm going to copy this a couple of times, copy, oops. Like so. So this would be my general notes, and what I would do here is I would go and I would say save as, and I'm just going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to save this as a TXT file format, plain text, and it's going to be saved to my desktop, and I'm going to say save. And we'll save Windows default, we'll say OK, and then I'm going to say close. Now what I can do is I can go to Tools, Text, Text, and I can say I want to import some text. And it's going to ask me to select the text that I want to import. And I'm going to import that. This is a test. And I'm going to say Open. And then I can say OK. And now attached to my cursor is this text that I can add in. This text can be modified. So I can actually go into the contents and make adjustments to this text. If it's a PDF, I really don't know if you can or not as easily as you can doing it this way. So my recommendation is always to use Word, save it as a TXT file, save it somewhere on your computer so it's easily accessible, and then import it into your sheets as needed, and then make the adjustments there. I think this is probably the better way of going about that. Again, let me know if this helps you out. If not, we can revisit that and look at adding in a PDF. But again, I feel this is a little bit easier to maintain. Again, I'm going to leave the question section open. So again, if you have any questions pertaining to today's class, please feel free to go ahead and enter those in, and I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. Question is, what does the PDF tab do? The PDF tab just allows you to import PDFs. So a lot of people will have PDFs of existing floor plans or of, let's say they created a PDF of a cover sheet and they want to show just a portion of the PDF. You can do that. I mean, you can add in PDFs to show a variety of different things, but this tab just allows you to actually import that PDF. So when you select it, it will bring up the Import PDF tab, and you can actually go in and say, I want to insert that PDF, and it will show you the information that you can insert from that PDF. So here I have my PDF, and I can add this in. I'm just going to convert it from an image to a vector, and now I have an actual PDF that I can insert onto my worksheet. So that tool just allows you to import a PDF that you're looking to insert. Yeah, the PDF tab under the insert list is the same thing as the PDF under the insert tab. They're both the same thing. It's just a different way of getting there, but the final result will be the same. You'll just be inserting a PDF of whatever it is that you want to be inserting. And again, a lot of people like to ask about inserting your 3D views for your cover sheets. So for an example, here we have our 3D camera view of the front of our design. We can insert this again as an image in a couple of different ways. So right now I have my display mode set to be rendered. I can go in and just say I want this to be patterned. And when I insert it as a pattern view, it will actually allow me to change this to be a drawing. So it will allow me to insert this as individual lines now. And a lot of people like to insert this in this method, and you can just say insert, and now you're going to have a line drawing that is going to include all of the hatching and everything from that view that you've created. And now attached to your cursor is that elevation view of that model. And you can again go in and make adjustments to it. We can add it in as just a rendered image as well. So if we wanted to go in and say define smart view, and let's say we wanted to do this as a rendered view, we have the realistic mode option, which allows you to show where the lights and the shadows are. And then this one will only be inserted as an image. And you can say insert. And now attached to your cursor is the image of that. And you can go in and make this as big as you want. And then this can be your title block. So again, different controls allow you to control how this is going to be inserted using the different features. So another question is, I can add in hatches to fill in foundation walls as concrete. Yes. So to do this, if we were to, and I believe we have a elevation here already inserted. If I wanted to show hatch in just specific areas, I can just go to tools, draw, and I can use my hatch tools here, so polygon or boundary. The difference is a polygon hatch, you control where the hatch is going to go. A boundary hatch is going to find a bounding region and add hatch in based on that region. So if I wanted to show hatch for concrete, I would go into my boundary hatch, select concrete, specify the area that I want to show that concrete in, hit enter. I can show a preview of that hatch, and if I'm happy with it, I can say enter and insert it in. or I can say I want to add in my own boundary. And I'm going to say OK. And now I can click the points to show where I want that hatch pattern to go. We can do something like that and say finish. And you can control where you want that hatch to go. So two different ways of adding in your hatch, boundary or polygon, again, depending on how you want that to be inserted. Adding in detail is going to be just a matter of going in and selecting the Details tab, and then from here you can add in a bunch of different details. So we have rigid insulation, bad insulation, your wood section, your masonry section. We also have cut lines, roof symbols, and member spacing notes. This member spacing notes is new to version 14 and allows you to denote where your joists are running and what the spacing and material are going to be for that particular span of truss or joist. If I wanted to add in bad insulation in my wall here, all I would have to do is go into the bad insulation, specify the 2 points that I want. I always start with either the top and go to the bottom, or bottom to the top, and then you go to the width, and you're specifying the thickness of that cavity, and you're going to show your bad insulation in that wall. So again, just a couple of clicks allows you to quickly insert your bad insulation. Again, I'll leave the question section open for a little bit longer. So again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and enter those in. At the conclusion of the class, I will be sending out a PDF that covers everything we've talked about today. So you will have some documentation on what it is we have learned today, so you can revisit that at any time. I'll leave us open for another minute here. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and enter those in. If you do have any questions at the conclusion of the class and you just didn't have a chance to get them added in here, you can contact our support department. You can do that by email or by phone, and they'll be able to help you out with any questions you may have as well. Again, I'll leave this open for another minute. So again, please feel free to go ahead and enter those questions in. So under the concrete hatch, can the concrete be shown farther apart? I believe you're talking about the scale, and yes. So if I go back to my elevation, the scale of my hatch is making this look congested. So I can actually select this, and then on the right-hand side, it'll show me a scale option, and I can specify the size of this. So if I go to 2, it'll make it 2 times the size, and it will make it a little bit less dense. So you can control the scale of it and make it more or less congested depending on the hatch pattern you're inserting. And then we can also control what is being displayed. So right now we have the pattern and the bounding line that represents that hatch displayed. We can say, I don't want to see the bounding box, I just want to see the hatch, and you're just going to see the actual hatch. And the same on this one. Again, do not include the boundary, I just want the hatch. So now you're seeing the layer of the wall line behind instead of the layer of the hatch. All right, well, I'll give this one more minute to see if any new questions come in. That looks like that is all the questions. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. Again, you can look forward to seeing an email from me very shortly that's going to contain a PDF of what we've covered today. And if you do have any questions, again, please feel free to contact our support department. They'll be able to help you out with any questions you may have as well. Again, I want to thank everybody for attending today, and I look forward to speaking with you all again very soon. Thank you very much, and have a great day.